Welcome to the main event Fightcast. I'm your host Vega. This is my co-host Mike, and we're a little bit late this week because I had to go out and do an interview for a movie I'm promoting, which is where I'm going to open the show. My new movie Nico comes out October 25th on all streaming platforms, so make sure you check that out. Now diving right into some fight shit.
Let's get it.
It's weird because I feel like this last weekend's main card, as I was watching it, I was entertained, but thinking back on it, I don't remember a single fight, bro. Like, I could not. The only fight I remember is the one we got to congratulate you for, and congratulate me, because in the last minute, you was like, which, I was like, I'll go with the submission, bro. That's literally most likely thing. I'm not betting anything else because I've had a terrible night. But yeah, you should bet the submission. That's what I would bet. And lo and behold, the shit hit.
one bet, one hit.
You know, so
Yeah.
it'd be like that.
But there was some memorable moments with what's his name, Zigmaya. I want to say he was Japanese.
So
He got that triangle choke.
First of all,
That triangle
Zigmaya
choke
was crazy.
That triangle choke was.
So Shiomi Kazama was the underdog that I really missed out on, because that was one that I was going to put a bit of money on. I was confident in. And then I talked myself out of it because, like I said, the majority of my fandom for him just comes from the fact that he has the same last name as one of my favorite video game characters. So it wasn't any illogical thinking. But it turns out that was a great bet to make because, man, that triangle, not just the triangle, but the wrestling in general. Like, he came in and everybody was pretty much confident he was going to get outstruck. And then he came in and that wrestling was on point. It wasn't the boring type of wrestling. He was moving and chasing. It was deep.
And if I remember correctly, a lot of the dogs did win. A lot of the dogs.
Did they? Was this a dog? I don't think this was a dog.
He was an underdog, but not a huge.
So let's see. This was dogs. I know she was a favorite. I remember Luciano was a favorite. Zalal was almost he was a favorite, a huge favorite. And that was a great submission there too. That was the first finish of the night, which was again for the so going into the fight, like I think I might have said it last week, or maybe I didn't because I wasn't really interested in this fight. But like going into it, I wasn't that interested, and I expected Zalal to win, but I didn't think he was gonna do it candidly enough to be a minus 400. You know what I'm saying? Like that felt like a lot to me.
Well, he made.
But watching the fight,
yeah, he made
like, all right, yeah, you're a minus 400 in this fight. He made that clear.
He made it clear. He
made that clear. It was a good one. I think it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! So as far as fights, like I said, like I was very entertained that night, but for whatever reason, it wasn't a card that's memorable.
Your boy Karol Williams.
My boy Karol Williams. It's crazy because he kind of falls into the conversation we were having before the show, right? About like wrestler versus grappler. And so like in this case, Janata probably outstruck him, but he didn't outstruck him in a way that's like, again, it wasn't, I didn't even remember the fight. So like it wasn't memorable enough for it to be like, oh my God, he outstruck this man and definitely won that way. Like, no. He won because it was very clear like he won the fight. But if it was going to one of those broken decision situations, like he didn't really outstrike as much as Karol Williams came in with an awful game plan. Bro, like this was the most heartbreaking loss on my bets. Because I was like, how are we losing right now? What is happening?
I mean, I remember you told me you liked Karol Williams, and I was like, but I don't know enough about the dude to speak on it, and it's like,
but we saw, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that was, now that I'm remembering it, the most frustrating part was we saw in the final round, it was Leon Edwards all over again, bro. Like, what happened? It was literally Leon Edwards all over again. Final round, you go and you get hit one more time, and you're like, all right, that was the one to get me started. Now I'm in the fight.
I can't.
And went crazy.
I couldn't justify that at all. Like that. I mean, I just can't come up with an explanation for what happens. Why
exactly.
Why do they decide the last 10 seconds? Yeah, it's not. You're like Max Holloway was on people the whole time. Like he didn't decide to just get that knockout at the end.
In the last second. It just happens like, we're still here. We're both beat up.
But
you want to do this?
But these other guys, they're like sleep at the wheel, and then they just wake up.
And yeah, because it's not even like Carl Williams was in the striking world with Janata where he didn't belong and actually like playing the game. Yeah. Like he was just kind of standing there. You know, so I don't know how this fight
fell
apart. I think I might have said that I was excited for this fight because I was kind of excited for it. Like I said, I was very confident.
You did.
Carl Williams was going to go in there.
You say you were excited because it was two heavyweights that are in shape.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. And that I think is stood the test of time. That statement stood the test of time.
That probably makes it look worse, though.
But it makes it look way worse.
As opposed to you see two slobs
just throwing themselves at each other.
Yeah, like you see that they're tired and they're just not doing anything, as opposed to them being there and not doing anything.
What are you doing? Why did you fight like that?
The goal should be championship, and you clearly can't fight championship rounds.
Yana Santos versus Chelsea Chandler. I don't even remember that fight.
I remember Santos won.
No, she didn't. Oh, yeah, she did.
Yeah. Santos beat her.
Oh, I do remember this fight. Was Santos' God, that was a terrible fight. Lord.
Santos won it, though.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Santos won. For sure.
I also saw Connor tweet that Chelsea Chandler is a great fighter, and I was like, is he being sarcastic?
Is he?
It wasn't a performance.
Is he joking? Is he coming for the brothers?
I almost wanted to check, like, was it before? Was it after the fight? Because
maybe it was a shot at the Diaz brothers because she trains with them.
Precisely.
That's hilarious.
Precisely.
Connor always on some bullshit.
Precisely. she's from Stockton, California, too.
Yeah. So, but she didn't show it this week at all. It was almost as bad.
It's so crazy that
wasn't it Chelsea Chandler that ran away in the fight too? Like that actively turned around and ran from her opponent at one point?
No.
Who was that?
That was a heavier class. That was it might have been Durant.
Norma Durant. No, I don't think it was Norma.
It might have been Norma Durant, bro.
We gotta see. I'm gonna figure out who that was because that's who I felt like I was watching the whole fight. Like I felt like I was rewatching that, and any moment Chelsea was gonna turn around, sprint towards the other side of the cage, and try to reconnect herself to the fight. Like she never felt like she was in a position where she understood what was happening in the fight.
The kicks overwhelmed her.
Yeah,
the kicks overwhelmed her. She should have probably went for it. Possibly would have got knocked out, but
the Karol Rosa fight, wasn't that the leg kick spammer? I think that was the fight where she was going crazy with the leg kicks, and Penny could barely stand. Remember, Penny threw a kick at one point and fell to the floor herself because her leg gave in.
She's so tough, bro.
Oh my God, that was the fact that fight went to decision was nuts.
No, yeah, she was so tough.
Nuts. You were screaming BMF damn near the whole fight, bro, because she was getting. It's wild though because. On one hand, it's like, we're celebrating how tough she is.
Unfortunately, it's usually losing that we see this BMF in them.
Yeah.
But realistically, what is Nate Diaz's record?
We shouldn't be celebrating that in a sense.
But realistically, what is Nate Diaz's record?
I don't know his record.
It's like probably like 4 or 5 tops away from being 500. This title wasn't given because of how much of a winner he was.
Right.
This title was given because how in defeat he does not turn the other cheek, run away. He goes forward. Yeah.
And Jorge was kind of in the same position where his record was only in like the 600
to be honest, Jorge was the opponent he chose. That was Nate's title that was handed in that fight. If we get to the origins of it, you can correct me if you feel different. But that's how I see it.
I wouldn't say this as like it's a correction. It's just the way that I understood everything.
Perspective.
I thought that the situation was they were already having some back and forth and trying to set up a fight.
No, they were friends. They were friends.
Okay.
Or not even friends.
No, but like they were on cool terms.
Cordial.
Okay. So the reason the BMF title ended up getting made was in a panic because I think it was Jones, right? I think it was a Jones fight. It might
have been a Jones fight.
It was a Jones fight that fell off of a similar position that Alex Pereira was in, except there was no title fight to save. There was nothing available.
Exactly.
So they made the belt, but I didn't know that Nate was the one who they kind of were like. I didn't realize it was more geared for him.
They did use the Miami thing with having The Rock give the
belt.
The Rock was visibly going for Jorge.
For Jorge, yeah.
Miami. Mm-hmm. But what gave the...
But legacy as far as the value of making that belt definitely goes to Nate.
Exactly. What gives
I understand that, for sure.
It was this title that Nate has been hanging around for years. When he said, I don't want to fight Khabib, I already beat him. Because apparently he slapped him. And that's his words.
Yeah, bro.
I don't know
where they come from. If you don't fight back after getting slapped, I won the fight, bro.
So in his mind, he was like, and then Edwards, he felt like he defeated him in that last round when he stunned him and went. Yep. And then Edwards became the champion. And he was like, "Oh yes, I'm the welterweight champion too."
Yeah, yep.
Like he's pretended, or at least in his mind, believed that he's better than these champions in that sense, and like he's such a star. Like
it makes sense.
It just
and then when you compare it to who Jorge was at the time, like yes, Jorge was this badass fighter outside of the UFC. He had this legacy outside. He has the legacy
outside of it, with
within
the
the
Kimbo
UFC
Slice
itself.
fighting.
It wasn't a long enough legacy to merit building a belt. So without Diaz being the A side, there's no reason to make a belt.
In the most respectful way to the word,
I'm a big Jorge fan, but that makes sense.
They were two journeymen, but they hung around. They both had this aura of being gangsters, and a performance like that from Panay, she's a gangster, bro. She's a gangster. Like your leg is beaten.
Yo, she was
and you're going forward.
Brutalized, bro. That leg was destroyed. Honestly,
and let's give the credit to
I was
Rosa.
just gonna go to Rosa. But I wasn't not giving her credit yet, not taking away from that. But what I was actually gonna say is for me, I feel like you could see that Karol Rosa has a heart because she took her down in the last round. Like, she didn't have to go for a takedown at all. She already had that fight in the bag.
I also,
you know what I'm saying?
It could have been a secure of her gas tank and all, because we say it all the time, but when you punch somebody, you're giving them your best shot and they eat it, it's demoralizing.
Yeah, but you could also keep picking apart the already damaged leg.
Yeah.
And that's not taking much energy, because as we were saying during the fight, like a toe touch is making that shit flinch, bro.
Yes and no, but that's also making her more dangerous, and the strike that she's throwing behind it, knowing she's about to get her leg crushed more.
Right. But I still feel like I don't know, if you could see the meters from UFC the game, like her shit was vibrating red, bro. Like, forget flashes.
Well, that's the thing. In a game, you can see how many more they can take.
Yeah.
In real life, you're like, what in the world is she made out of?
Yeah. When is it gonna happen?
What is she made out of?
It's like that meme. You see that meme when it's like it shows the two miners and one of them gives up right before getting past the layer that shows the diamonds, and then the other one is still digging, but he's mad far.
I'm not familiar with that.
That shit is so fire, because it's like you never know how close you actually are to your goal, and in that case, like, you don't know how close you were to getting that TKO. Like, outside the ring, yes, our perspective is way different.
Bro.
Being able to see both fighters and watch.
But she's in there.
Yeah, respect that for sure.
She's in there taking some.
I want to paint the picture that she's really nice. It was like not wanting to break the girl's leg.
If I put myself in Rosa's shoe and I'm kicking somebody that much, that often, my leg hurts too.
Yeah, that's true.
My leg hurts.
Of course.
My leg hurts too.
Of course. There's some pain in your leg too.
Bro.
For sure. Not as much. But it's there.
Not as much as her, possibly. But no,
that's when you start hitting it with the foot. You don't use the leg, you use the foot.
That's when you start point fighting, as they say, hitting 10, 20.
Nah, not point fighting. You still trying to damage it. You pushing instead of striking. So you hit it with the foot and you push through it.
I still think that sometimes they like make it look clean, and they're not really putting much on it, which is not so much with a punch, but with a kick, because of the kind of damage you're getting on it, bro. Like.
It's so I love that this is proving the way that I opened it. The card itself was fun to watch while it was happening. This is not a memorable card in a way where you walk away and any of the fights were really. Chris Gutierrez, oh my God, what a disappointing fight. Like, no attack on Chris Gutierrez, but it's just, I expected way more from you with the short notice that this man was coming off of. Right? And you being who you are, like, you got the fight. I mean, you got the win. Congratulations.
Whoa.
But it was a strange one. It was a strange one for sure.
Yeah, my personal experience with that is I was super tired already, and listen, it's hard for me to fall asleep sitting down, but I was taking naps between fights, and that one was hard to stay up for.
That one was a tough one. Danny Barlow and Nikolay Veretennikov. This was the fight where I think along with everyone who had any information on Danny Barlow, expected this to be a knockout, right? Nikolay's coming off like 4 days short notice type of shit. So the fact that he took that fight to decision, it doesn't take anything away from Danny Barlow as far as I'm concerned. He's still a crazy good fighter.
It's just a victory in itself.
The way Nikolay showed up, like he is ready. You know what I'm saying? He's ready to fight. And I love that. I love that about this fight.
It's almost, it seems like it's not a big difference, but it's a huge difference. You see Mackenzie Dern's boyfriend?
Yeah.
The way he performed, had he just survived and just lost a decision, it'd be like that.
It'd be just like that.
It'd be just like that.
Just like this.
It's a victory, and as far as he goes, you look there too in the levels.
And you're like, wow.
But that's
a great. And so for this, for Nikolay, congrats to him.
So we don't know if Danny got fraud checked or if this guy's just really, really good.
Nah, I don't. Because Danny won, I don't think it's a fraud check. I think this guy's just that good.
But it could have been. It could have been maybe Danny doesn't perform in the lights. His first main event, bro.
Co-main, but could be that too. Could be that too.
First
could be that
event,
too.
sorry.
Could have had a little bit of effect on him because of the co-main.
I'm thinking main event how because
or it wasn't even the co-main either. It was the featured. It was supposed to be the co-main. They flipped it with Chepe, which is weird because Chepe missed weight. But Chepe actually had the funniest post-fight.
I guess it's weird till you watch the fight.
Yeah. That was deservingly the co-main. It was weird that they made the move, but the result from the decision was not bad. Was justified. You made the right call for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why they're the professionals. You know what I mean? Like as much as we talk shit whenever we feel like it's a bad card, like they did their job and they did an amazing job at it. Their job is to entertain me for the night that I paid for the pay-per-view.
The way I look at it is when you look at the names, you're like, do I want to watch this? Now, I could have missed it, and there's some parts that's like, oh, damn. I could have missed that, but this fight was not it. This was not
and that's for me the way I look at it, right? Like, and maybe this will help some people out there with the idea of when they pay for the pay-per-view, because it's a big number, right? But the way I break it down is like, if I get 3 good fights out of the card, it was worth the money, right? Because at that point, $120 for a pay-per-view, right? You're looking at $40 a fight. That's pretty solid as far as like I pay $60 a video game, right? I pay $30 to go to the movies, right? Like, so little things like that. When I look at them, like, I'm sitting at home, enjoying myself with something I really love. If I get 3 great fights or 3 fights that I really could come out of it and be like, I actually had a great time watching that fight, I'm satisfied. You know what I'm saying? So with this card, like I said, it's not a memorable card. There's nothing to really brag about.
And even that,
but I got 4 or 5 good fights out of it, just based on the recap I'm looking at.
Even that is subjective because what's a good fight to you is probably a boring fight to somebody else.
Right, and that's why I'm saying, like, for you, using it for your own measure, like how whatever you measure as a good fight, assign a number to that, and then you can eat the pay-per-view a little bit easier.
It's been some days. I know if I would have asked you immediately after it, watching it all, you would have said a lot more than 3 fights was good.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. And that's the I guess the biggest point I drive home with it is when we pay for these pay-per-views and for these fights, it's for that night. Like the entertainment is that moment. So even if it gets boring for a couple of seconds, like if you overall enjoyed it and made it through the night, can get a decent amount out of it, I think that's fair. So maybe my number is low for a lot of people. I'm saying 3 or 4 fights, I'm good.
Only because
like most cards are 10 to 12, right?
And
so like if you're looking for 5 or 6, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not mad at that, but I'm just saying like assign a number of fights that you think is a fair amount to pay for. And if you get that many good fights, they did their job, bro. Because for somebody else, those 6 you found boring was great. So like it works for everybody. So shout out to the UFC matchmakers. They continue to do the damn thing. Leading into us talking about the actual fight, Chepe Mariscal versus Damon Jackson. And boy, this was a fight. Wow. Damon Jackson showed up, as I warned people, like, if no matter how much of a fan you were of Chepe, Damon Jackson can fight, bro. Like, he does his damn thing.
Listen, it was one of those performances, man. You don't want to say that, oh, he's so tough because he got his ass whooped, but
once we got into the later second and into the third, like, it was clear Chepe was putting in work.
No, but he it's just the beating he was able to take. A lot of guys would have folded, man.
Yeah.
A lot of guys would have folded.
Yep. That was that.
And Chepe's energy was just like exhausting. Like me watching it,
he looks like he doesn't run out of cardio, bro. Like he's like a more dangerous Marab at this point. Like that's how I'm feeling. Because he's not even going for the takedowns every fight. Like he's mixing in everything. Yeah. And that's what I was gonna open with was his he had a post-fight quote. I don't remember if it was during the conference or if he just said it like on Twitter afterwards, but he had a quote where he was like, yo, I missed weight. I don't qualify for a bonus. They're taking a percentage of my purse. Yeah, I'm not gonna go for a finish. Like I'm gonna just ride it out and test out my skill sets, especially once I see I'm dominating.
Damn.
I might have elaborated some there, but you know what I mean? Like
it's not the best thing to say, but it's true.
Right, he's not wrong, but he's not right.
It's honest.
You know, like, yeah, you might be better off showing like your full skill set and what you're capable of, which you did by giving us a great, like, consistent, high energy, grappling, full range MMA fight.
He was also in there with somebody that's dangerous too.
Right, and he was in there with somebody dangerous. So obviously, I don't think he meant to say it in a disrespectful way, like saying he was just toying with him at any point. But to say
you don't toy with somebody that's dangerous.
Right, there's those moments in a fight where you recognize like it's a risk, but there's the possibility I can end this if I chase this path, right? And choosing not to take those risks is what he was referring to. Like, I don't have to take these extra risks because I'm not qualifying for these bonuses. I'm better off fighting safe, showing my skill set while I'm still dominating the
fight. His fighting style did not seem like, he was being safe. He was being...
Yeah, maybe safe is a little free for him.
But like, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, it's all subjective.
Yeah, it's all subjective. Yeah.
Jeez.
But hell of a fight that he put on. And then I think it ended up making, because of how good the co-main was, it made the main event that much better. Right? Because I think if the co-main would have been a snooze fest in any way, not even just like thinking about the fighters themselves, just in general, if it would have ended up being a boring fight in any way, the way the main event went, it was exciting because the bet was good. It was a cool, quick sub. But overall, like, it wasn't a very exciting, quick, flashy moment that it happened. And it was a paced out thing that you would expect from a grappler like Spivac, which is why I said most likely scenario is going to submit Marcin, bro. Like, that's just the most likely thing that's going to happen. And it worked out fantastic. So.
Odds makers messed up, in my opinion. Like, I seen that was the highest. I was like, oof, taking that.
Yeah, that was crazy to think.
I'm taking that.
You
think this is the least likely to happen? I think this is very likely.
This is the most likely thing that's
$25.
What are we talking about here?
I should have picked 250.
Man, so that's a quick little recap on the weekend fight, which I'm sure you've seen tons of amazing ones. But there's some crazy pieces of MMA news, right? And like, I don't want to ever feel like we're trying to dive into the journalism specific area of news. I personally very openly do not have the energy to chase down leads and be the first to break news. Like, this is not me, man. I don't got that in me. I'm a talk about the topic and like really try to dive into the depth of the conversation, which brings me to a couple of really interesting, scary in some cases, topics of MMA shit that happened over the past week. So we're going to dive right into the first big one, which is terrifying for me because I'm a massive fan, if that has not been made clear already. Alex Pereira is facing some odd accusations.
Oh, Lord. I can't believe you brought this.
So you have to bring it up because...
Only because it was screened live from the beginning and then was proven a lie right away. So
I think... So the reason I think is important to bring up is because it's easy to dive to the idea that it's a lie quick, especially with people that we look at and we're like, as much as I like this person, all of the reasons I like them do not align with the story you're telling.
No.
Right? But I think it's very important to hear these people out first, right? So she was given a chance to be heard out. I don't think it was a great chance to be heard out, but she was given a chance to be heard out. And it was a terrible explanation of the situation, like from all possible directions of everything she said, right? And I don't know if I've said this before, but I have 3 younger sisters, so I'm very cognizant of this type of shit. And it's just, you have to be able to, I think there's a huge, important differentiation that needs to be made and said out loud of, did you go with this person and stay with them because you were trying to take things slow and get to know them? Or should you have just left the first time you got a bad vibe, bro? Like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? So that's the conversation that I think really needs to be had, because that's where the big problem comes in. I think there's a huge element of men and women trusting your gut, right? So like once you get this bad vibe, there's no longer a reason to stick around. Right now, anything that happens is no longer a question of whether you're lying. You were trying to leave. There's no debate to be had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But for you to explain that he made you uncomfortable, but you stayed a little longer, and then he did this thing that made you uncomfortable, but you stayed a little longer, and then to flat out say he told you come with me to the bathroom, and you were like, tell him I'm not that type of girl. He got to take it slow. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I watched every bit. Like I said, I take these things very serious because I understand like this shit really happens, right? So
the thing is, by the time I saw it, her friend had already discredited her.
Got you. Okay. So you came into it a little later. I came into it probably. I don't know. I want to say day 1 or 2 of the whole thing, but
it's been like three weeks, I think.
It's been like since she posted the video and the tweet itself. It was like a week or 2 before the last pay-per-view. Like a week before the pay-per-view is when she tweeted that. July something.
When I saw it was definitely like 2.5 weeks ago. 2 weeks changed.
No way, because the friend didn't come out that long ago. Like last Wednesday.
Her friend immediately unfollowed her, was saying she was clout chasing. Like, I'm talking about like she did it and immediately like
last Wednesday is when she put out the screenshots of the text messages.
No, I think it was a lot. We have to fact check that because to be honest, because to be honest,
that was like
I seen him discrediting her like at least I'm gonna say at least 2 weeks now. No, bro. And
a week ago she folded 24 hours after. It literally didn't go on that long, bro. It was a crazy fast shakeup, and that I think is the ultimate big piece of it, is because of what you said, where ultimately she made a bunch of money off of this situation. You know what I'm saying? And I think Alex Pereira should sue the crap out of her, right? Because there has to be some sort of repercussion for this type of allegation, bro. Like, even for anybody out there who didn't bother doing any extra research or looking into it, they just think Alex Pereira is a rapist now. That's just how they're walking around, because they didn't actually go any further or look into it any deeper. They just got that one piece of information and called it a day.
I can only speak for how I see it on Twitter, like what's the masses going towards. I think everybody had his back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everybody had his back for sure on all of the social media, and that's where I was.
But that's where the problem lies when something really happens.
Right.
Personally, as somebody that's always played sports and always, like, I don't want to say idolize, but love certain players, and it didn't take long for me to understand. I don't care about who LeBron James is outside the court. He could be a great person in the world. Maybe that's a bad example because we know all the things that he has done, humanitarian stuff and all that. But the point is,
like, in general, most people, you're not looking for them outside the sport.
Yeah, why do you think why would I care about what they're like over there when I'm just talking about their game and this and that? That other stuff and idolizing, that comes later, and it's like, it's true. You want to idolize somebody who's, in the beginning, they talked about Kobe being squeaky clean.
Yep. And then the allegations come out.
But does that mean that a bunch of thugs came up because of the way Allen Iverson looked, and they were Allen Iverson fans? A lot of people label Allen Iverson a thug because of things that he didn't do. It was easy for them to believe that he threw a chair at a girl in the bowling alley. When in the documentary you have a witness saying that a white person did it. How do you confuse? How do you confuse?
Mad funny. Oh man, that's fucking great.
And it's just something in sports, though. They always they always try to damage somebody that's in the kind of position.
Well, especially nowadays because it's easy to do, right? Like again, it doesn't take much for this.
I think it's harder to do now because
where this girl not advocating for what she did, but looking at the dangers of what she did. All she needed to do differently was not do anything after the initial post.
Yes.
She would have ruined this man's career.
No. After the day, if she would have done nothing after the day that she had this supposed encounter with her, she went out, was posting videos, explicit videos on OnlyFans because she was trying to capitalize on the money or whatever. So if she had went to a hospital or whatever, or been diabolical what I said
this is what I'm saying.
Going and having sex with people make it look forceful.
But this is what I'm saying. If she had, when she tweeted, by the time she tweeted, right, like whatever else she did before the tweet, it's already included. Mm-hmm. When she tweeted the accusation, right, from that point, if she didn't put out the video, if she didn't do anything else, right, just disappeared, it would leave people with more questions. And that would be bad for him, right? And that's the danger of this situation is that just the accusation alone is a huge problem. What saved Pereira in this situation is her thinking she was smart and being ahead of it and getting ahead of it and being able to forge her lie properly. She put out these videos explaining what happened, all this stuff, and that cleared his name. Yeah, right? And in that, it's like, what are you doing?
Also, her not even putting out those videos. As soon as she put that video out, people were on it and investigating, finding out her friends or whatever, and then finding this video that her friend posted them out. So even if she would have been a little bit better, it's still in today's society.
Well, no, because those videos that they found don't show anything. And that's
it just shows that she's out having fun,
but that doesn't mean anything. That's what I'm trying to say.
It still paints a narrative.
But that's a narrative you want to believe because, again, we like the person she's talking about. No. Yes, that's the reality. Because you could be out having the time of your life with somebody, and then suddenly they do some crazy shit to you.
Oh, right? No, I'm talking about afterwards.
But even that's what I'm saying. The videos didn't help either side, right? Because all they do is show, during this moment, it seems everything's fine on both sides. Right, so she could tell her side of the story and be like, "He was a monster. I was terrified," and he could be like, "Everything was fine. We're comfortable." All we see in the video is his face. We don't really see hers, so it doesn't do anything for anybody, right? But if she doesn't put out any videos at all, boy, we have a problem.
That's what the problem.
Boy, we have a problem, and that's the scary shit. Just saying something is a huge issue, and it damages. It puts people in this defensive position where now, if you make an accusation, we have to come down and demand evidence. We have to be more aggressive and attack, because otherwise, everything gets shut down with just an accusation. So I'm asking people, just be more careful.
That's why I think this isn't even a civil matter. You should be arrested for doing things like this.
Yeah, that should be a legal thing, like calling the police when you don't need to.
A civil suit is one thing, but nah, this is bigger than that.
But we're not legal experts in any way. So
no, I mean, I don't care to be a legal expert. I'm just saying, this is gonna forever be a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
As a man, obviously, women have their it's crazier for them dealing with people that are actually abusers.
Right, and there's way more of those people than there are of people lying.
But you're also making it harder for them, and this is why a lot of the women that been abused are scared to come forward because how easily things can be swayed that it's not. But their biggest foes in this situation are the women that pretend.
Even if it's a small amount. Like I said, there's way more abusers than there are women lying. But the woman lying, their impact is much bigger than the abusers in the case of getting people away from them. So going into a happier route, I owe a small apology to Dana White because I put a lot of pressure on him and accusation on him over the Mokaev thing. Right, and it's become clear that's not him, bro. Like, apparently Mokaev was having issues with everybody. The main one that stuck out to me was with Hunter, right? Because when he said Hunter's name, a lot of things clicked for me as the person who has to negotiate, as the person who has to book and schedule and this and that. And the ego Mokaev was already kind of showing to have, and the complaints that people are talking about, I could see those negotiations being a fucking headache. Like, every time he got home from one of those negotiations, like, shot for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that painted a picture where I'm like, nah, Dana doesn't actually have anything to do with this. And in all reality, because of that, the situation just got way darker for him, in my opinion. Like it's super unlikely you will ever be back in the UFC because you're not even the person that everyone assumes you have to impress, and the person who can every now and then be impressed and swayed is really not the person that you pissed off. You pissed off the guy that probably can't be swayed at all, to be honest. He's probably the guy that, like, in most cases, is having a back and forth with Dana about certain people.
The guy that in this case could possibly not even be a fan of the sport. So
right.
He doesn't care about
you. Don't give a shit.
He doesn't care about your greatness.
Yeah.
It's about business.
It's business strictly for
like,
him,
wait,
you know?
All I hear, from what I've read before, was mainly about him being a problem with UFC officials. And Hunter, being the business guy,
is an official.
He's probably the person that's like the most, as we've seen now, he clearly gonna have an ego. And does this guy not respect me?
Right.
And
that could be a big thing.
And maybe that's putting a little too much hypothetical, but
right. The other side of hypothetical, just so we have it, is the easier cushion side of it, where it's like Mokaev is having issues with all of the officials or all of these different staff members, and a high percentage of them happen to have to report to Hunter. Mm-hmm. So they're giving these complaints, and that's a pain in the ass.
And it doesn't even have to. And it doesn't even have to be like one. I seen a fighter say that he talked to the officials disrespectfully. It doesn't even only have to be that. It could just also be all these rifts he's getting with other fighters.
Yeah.
And one of the things that struck me the biggest was for a 23-year-old kid justifying why he took a picture with the guy, then sucker punched him, saying that he couldn't sleep at night. Like, you're a fighter.
That's craziness.
You're a fighter.
Right, you're already scheduled to fight him.
You got into a brawl. You don't feel you got the best out of him because he headbutted you and you got cut. What are you gonna do in the real world? Are you gonna pull a gun, or are you gonna like? He has to grow up.
You got to grow up.
He has to grow up.
But I think at this point, because his antics, so now understanding that the person he has to impress is not Dana, it changes the behavior that I see as like acceptable as far as trying to get your job back, right? The antics on Twitter are not going to get you your job back at all. Like offering to fight for free is not going to get you your job back.
He's always been a heavy tweeter. He's always been a heavy tweeter.
But this is one of those show growth moments.
And I have a theory about that.
Yeah.
It's like.
And no, I'm not saying, I'm not chastising the tweeting. I'm saying the context of it. Like what he's saying.
No, I'm just saying that I have a theory why he probably tweets too much. It's because, yes, he speaks English, but it's not his first language.
Right.
And when you're initially around people, and you're talking like out of emotion or whatever, it might come off wrong. Mm-hmm. So he goes to Twitter where he could probably, with the translator and all of that,
write it out.
Be more, I can't even find the word now, but just like explain what his side of it was.
Right.
I can't think of the word now that it was perfect for, goddamn. But the point is, on Twitter, he's able to take his time and actually get off what he really wanted to say and whatever. And the language barrier may mess up a lot of relationships.
And in that same vein, because he's typing this, right, he's not really he's not able to hear the emotion that's coming out of it. Mm-hmm. So he's saying some things he shouldn't be saying, right? So again, like maybe it is a matter of, you got to tweet less. Maybe it's a matter of, you got to adjust what you're tweeting.
I mean, you know it's too much when you're talking about fighting for free, something you know it's not going to happen.
You talking about fighting.
You know it's too much when you say,
it's too much when you say you're open to signing to any organization just so that the UFC can see how much you're improving so you can find your way back. You just shit on every other organization. Mm-hmm. You just told them that they're all the B-list, and that's crazy. Nobody wants to sign you up to that. Like, it's just there's a lot of growing up there.
But it's tough though, because what he could have done also is, they don't want the best flyweight in the world. I'll go to whoever really wants to have the real flyweights fight. And whoever they think is their best flyweight, I'm going to take them out and I'm going to show who's the best in the world. It would have also looked bad with his relationship with them. Unless he kind of gets a conversation with Dana, with Hunter, like, listen, I'm sorry for how things go, but I'm about to go in a little promotion rant. is no disrespect to y'all.
I think
that's the only perfect way I could think of it. And it's just not realistic.
Can't do that.
And it's just not realistic.
Exactly. You can't
it's just not realistic. So
it is.
So he just put himself in a tough spot.
His best his
spot.
best case right now, what he needs to do now is shut up.
Yeah.
Right? Shut up for a second. Just go train. Go to a gym where there's a lot of UFC fighters, right? Like if not like a UFC Apex gym, or like just go to a gym like Ultimate Combat, right? And go show that you know how to play nice.
Anywhere that's respectable, there's gonna have those kind of people around that can relay the message. But you can't just do it like that. I think he also has his apologies to make, and it's not public.
But I think that
it shouldn't be on Twitter.
No, exactly.
It should be message like he knows who to contact.
But to get to those, that's what I'm saying. Forget that part, right?
I'm on a tour to be a different me.
You're wasting your time.
No.
You're wasting your time because I'm still mad at you. I don't care about what you're saying. I need to see action. So before you make that phone call, go somewhere where people who are connected to those people can see you changing, right? Let them say something, because in conversation, you're going to come up.
But is he ready to just dive into the change?
But it's not, and that's the thing.
Maybe he has to deal with another organization in this way.
Or he could do what I'm saying and go to a gym where there's UFC fighters and understand this is going to be a year-long process, a year and a half long process, right? It's going to be. You have to go, or it might be longer, but you have to go, be in that gym, be part of the culture, reconnect, show your growth, show what's happening, because what you want is eventually a conversation to happen naturally where somebody's talking about a fighter that's coming up, and they're like, oh yeah, he was training with Mokaev, and then somebody who matters within the UFC is like, Mokaev? Like, what? How's he doing? Boom, if they say something good about you, this is really your only way back to the UFC, because anything else is just you talking. Right? Even if you go to another organization and show yourself as a dominant fighter, it was never about you fighting. So is the UFC on an organizational level really having conversations around what fighters are a headache with other organizations? No, because that exposes problems in your business. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to get whether you're doing better as a person. And that's what they want to see. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't want to.
It's a long game plan, but it's the only game plan that I see being realistic to work.
I feel like we're just kicking them lights down, but they're not.
I'm hoping he's picking up from this. Like, go reconnect slowly.
Then I also see that people are telling him he should sign with Ali, who I'm not a fan of, obviously, but he obviously has that relationship with the UFC, so it would be positive. And his response is just like. He insert a name of this guy that was just fighting and got cut. Do the research. The guy asked for his release and all of that. So like, it just tells you like he's still being very stubborn,
very egotistical.
He's still standing on his nonsense, and it's like,
man, now I'm thinking about it.
I'm telling you, it's not gonna be a year-long process, bro. We're gonna see that kid back maybe 28 years old.
Yeah, like I said, a year and a half is best case scenario in my opinion. Like absolute, like if he.
I think best case scenario is 2 years, but yeah.
Best case scenario, something like fast. Best case scenario is a year and a half, 2 years. 2 years I'll go to. That's fine. Like it's easier to measure.
Because how can you change? You're not gonna change. I don't care who he goes in front of. It's not gonna be a 1 day thing.
Right.
How can a person even rave to Dana or to Hunter about you? If when you get there, you're right away good.
Exactly.
You're going to be a head case for the first whatever.
And this is what I mean, you got to show up and return to the culture.
He probably has to almost get there, win the belt, and then almost lose it in the sense that like.
Oh, you're still again.
No. I'm not talking about.
You're still talking about organization.
No. I'm not even talking about the belt so much. I'm talking about almost lose his relationship with these people because he's being cocky too much. Because that's probably all he does is win.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're thinking about the fight. The problem with him is he as a person. Mm-hmm. He sucks as a human right now. Yeah, right? Respectfully, I don't know you, Mokaev, so I'm just assuming.
But you have what better way to be humble?
That's not proving anything because you're still going back to the fighting. That's a fighting thing. As a person, he sucks. We need to fix him as a person. To fix him as a person, what you do is go to a gym that has a good UFC relationship. Show up to the gym. Humble yourself by saying, yo, I'm in a bad place right now. Can I just help you guys out?
That conversation could go so
Can I
far.
help you guys?
Oh, that conversation
That's what I'm saying. You have to be a person. It's not about the fight. Show up to the gym and yo, I'm in a bad place. Can I help in the gym? What can I do? Do you guys need someone?
I just don't know that realistically I see it. But that conversation
realistically,
goes so
that's what he
far.
needs. That's where his problem is right
conversation
now.
will get him so
realistically,
far, bro.
that's where his problem is. So go in there and I'm down to clean lockers if you guys let me train on the mats with you guys a couple times a week, right? You say it's not gonna happen, but that's what he needs.
But that's better than I'll fight for free.
That's what he needs. Because no one gives a fuck about your fighting. We already think you're a great fighter. What you need now is to get back in the culture in a way where we feel we want to fight with you. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's a sport. Do you want to play basketball with an asshole? No matter how good he is, you don't really want to play with a dickhead. You know what I'm saying?
That's all they said about Jordan.
And look at how many people didn't want to play with him. Look at how hard it was for him to return to the game. You know what I'm saying?
There's way more people that loved him than that.
But he was still more beloved, right? So the people that didn't like him, you could understand it was an ego thing, it was a competitive thing, right? But again, we're not talking about.
It wasn't a character flaw. It was more of him just being so.
You know who's a good example of this? Kyrie. When he was going through the whole shit during COVID.
It's hard,
right?
It's hard. Kyrie's a lot more like to himself and like. It's not, it
doesn't matter about what his personality is. The point is, whatever his personality is, it's off-putting to a lot of people in the moment, right? So in that COVID moment, he was pissing off a lot of people. And he was doing it, again, he's to himself, just being himself. Like, bro, all he did was watch a movie. And he pissed off a lot of people, right? And what did they want him to do? Apologize. No, apologizing is just embarrassing me. Right, I'm gonna go in and reconnect with the culture, reconnect with the people who were mad at me, show them like, I get why you were mad, but remember, I'm a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me be a person. And look at how far it's gotten him, bro. People are having good conversations again about him. You know what I mean? That's what Mokaev needs right now. He needs to show up and be like, yes, I'm probably the best fighter in this gym now, but I'm still down to roll as if I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm down to roll with the newest guy and take it easy on him. Like, that's the type of shit that they want to see. Because it's a personality issue they're having. And we can see that in you punched a man while taking a picture with him, bro. As a man, there's no part of you that should feel comfortable with that. As a fighter, that's unthinkable. Like
his psyche and the normal psyche is just not the same.
Right. So with that mentality,
for me, it's like I wouldn't be able to go to sleep at night knowing that I had to I had to take a picture with you to get a fair one, not a fair one, to get a
shot off. Right. I wouldn't be able to sleep knowing I did that.
Yeah. Right? He can't sleep because somebody headbutted him in the middle of a brawl.
Thinking about that from a coaching perspective or a business perspective, right? Do I believe in my mind, knowing you did that if a new kid comes in and I ask you to roll with him and teach him something, you're gonna go easy on him? No, I'm not believing that for a second.
Yeah.
And that is what you need to change. Get people to think you would roll with that guy. Like, that's the type of stuff I think would change.
I don't know that his gym has any complaints to him. I don't know what gym he is. So it's like
that's why I'm saying he has to go to a different gym. Yeah. He has to go to a new gym.
Because whatever gym whatever gym they're in, they're not checking him. It could be that, or they're just that's their culture too.
Yeah. Right.
Because I was in one of the episodes I was watching The Ultimate Fighter. The guy that fought Ziga.
Yeah. Yep.
He went up to one of the dudes that fights at Jackson Wick. He was his teammate, and he's like, "Dude, you're drinking all the time, and not only are you making yourself look bad, you're not representing the gym well."
Right. And that's what I'm talking about.
And it wasn't even a bad conversation.
The guy didn't take it bad.
They hugged everything. It's just a matter of like.
That's what I'm saying. Mokaev
you're a reflection of your gym in a lot of ways.
And I'm just throwing random examples out there. I'm not actually like believing these thoughts. But what I'm saying, if Mokaev goes to Max Holloway's gym and trains with Max Holloway's people for a year and a half, he might be back in the UFC. Max Holloway, the level of person he is, like as a person. I'm not
familiar with the gym and all that.
But like, not even like no matter how deep you know the gym, just thinking about one representative of it, Max Holloway, and everything he stands for, right? If Max Holloway is having a conversation with Dana, he's like, yo, that Mokaev kid, he's grown up a little bit. He's been working with my guys. He's changed it. Give him a shot on Contender Series.
I mean,
I could see that being
I think the perfect
realistic
match will probably
conversation.
be like AKA, just because Khabib has been known to like.
Or Khabib.
If he goes to Khabib, his ego get in the way.
And
We got that whole moment.
That's a better example. If he go, thank you. That's a way better example. If he went to Khabib and Khabib goes to Dana and is like, "Oh, Dana, I know the kid was a little bit of an asshole before, but
listen, I've been working with him for a year and a half, and the kid that walked in is not the kid that's now, and that means a lot.
That'll mean a lot, and that's what I'm saying. Like if he can get something like that, and knowing now that you mentioned Khabib specifically, knowing how open and inviting Khabib always is to fighters. That's literally your best option, bro. Go train with Khabib for 2 years, and it's not about the fighting. You're gonna learn the Khabib culture and his that's one thing I will never take away from
However he channels his aggression, that's how you have to channel.
Whether you get bored with some of his camp's fighters or not, all of them need to be respected on the basis of self-control, just everything about themselves is complete. Like as a person, like sure, you may not align with Islamic beliefs or Muslim beliefs, I don't remember which one it is, but regardless of whether you align with their religious beliefs, you can't deny that they are respectful people. They carry themselves very well throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? Sure, you can question their aggressionness when we talk about if they feel disrespected, right? Dustin Poirier, Islam Makhachev moment, right? That miscommunication can spark very quickly.
Yeah, and it's like,
however, in most cases, these are some of the chillest guys. When you watch an Islam interview, the dude's mad fun to watch. He's chill. Yeah. Like even when he's being cocky, it comes off as like fun.
He's very funny. He's very funny and very sarcastic. So
So sending Mokaev
we don't get that character from Khabib.
Matter of fact, now because you gave me a really good example, Jim, I'm doubling down on it. Mokaev, that is literally what you need to do. I'm going to send you this clip personally.
The only reason that I would say that is a no is he probably has a bad relationship with those guys in particular.
That'll be crazy. If you have a bad relationship with them, think about the people who have bad relationships with Khabib.
What is the thing?
Conor McGregor.
He's Russian. Mokaev is Russian by blood. But he definitely fled to New England. Where is he?
To UK?
Is he in England?
Oh yeah, he does fight UK.
He's in England. Yeah, UK. Yeah.
That could be a thing. I don't know. I don't know enough about that to really. But that is a possible consideration.
And also knowing that how he's difficult to work with, I can imagine with the trash talking and the disrespect that I can't stand. They can't let things go. And whatever beef they could have,
that could be interesting.
I'm comfortable saying that if they're not being friendly at all, it's because they have some beef.
Yeah. So I think that would be. So again, we don't know the full depth of obviously any of these fighters' personal situations, but my final recommendation and thought and point on this one is Mokaev, go see Khabib, bro. At this point, it's Uncle Khabib, bro. I don't ever want to see Khabib fight again anymore. I used to want to see him fight just to, I was on the camp, I will not deny, as much respect and admiration as I have for Khabib, I was in the camp of wanting to see him lose. I'm definitely I was buying pay-per-views to see if anybody can beat him. Not because I hate him, not because I want anything to take away. I just want to see, is this guy really unbeatable?
Yeah, I was one of the guys. I was one of the people that questioned his greatness and was wondered if Conor could spark him because I knew that Conor had a puncher's chance.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Puncher's chance.
And that's kind of how I feel with him. But at this point, I don't even want to see that. I'm satisfied with Islam living this out the rest of the way.
The one person I was ever comfortable saying that he has the dog in him to survive a Khabib fight and possibly beat him was Prime Tony.
Yeah, and that's long gone.
Oh, that's...
Woo, that is long gone.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I don't know if you've seen how Bilal Muhammad was talking about that before the fight, he's rolling, right before, but in the camp, rolling with Khabib. He was losing confidence. Khabib was kicking his ass, saying that he believes Khabib could come back and be champion at whatever weight class he wanted.
I didn't see that. I gotta start paying attention to Bilal more because he is the champion and it's disrespectful not to pay attention to the champion. So I gotta start paying more attention.
But to me, it's just interesting that he was actually losing confidence because this guy's
that good,
destroying me. And, he's retired for so long.
He's cooking me, and I'm already on a 7-fight losing streak.
Crazy. If the size that he is now, he's probably a middleweight. So So it shouldn't be that demoralizing to Bilal, but psychologically you get it.
Yeah.
Like, these retired fighters.
But I do think I want to see Khabib stay in the coach path. I'm loving it. I'm loving everything he's producing.
He would not come back. He would not come back to anything other than 185.
I don't know, those tax conversations were a lot of potential for him to come back to the UFC, even if only for one fight. You know, with his stardom, he could do one fight and
man
clear a
does
check.
not make your weight at anything under the 85, and I don't think he ever had the confidence to fight at welterweight. Now at 185.
You don't think he could fight at 170? He's out of shape because
I
he's not
don't think
fighting.
he won't go after Bilal, but
He doesn't have to.
But I think that's still a tough weight cut.
No, I think he'll be. I think he'll be fine. I think
He's a
because
big dude.
he's a big guy because he's not actively fighting right now. But I don't think that he's again, even just the way that Bilal's describing getting beaten by him, like it's telling you all he has to do is lose the weight to come back into the cage. You know, and losing the weight for someone as trained and dedicated and like again, I have zero disrespect in my heart for Khabib.
Yeah.
He's just not my favorite fighter.
Yeah. Just because
That's
you
all.
want,
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know why
Right,
people
like-
think that. Just because you want
Yeah,
somebody to
like,
lose doesn't mean that they're not
again,
great.
like,
I wanted Jordan to lose
right.
a lot of times. And it was
I
because
just
he was
wanna-
so damn
I
good.
just want to see it. And there's certain people that they go against that you're like, buddy, no. There's certain people that they go against that I'll be very like, I'm obviously a bigger fan of Dustin than I am of Khabib. So when he goes against Dustin, yes, I want to see Khabib lose.
I'm a big Khabib
you
fan
know what I'm
than
saying?
Dustin. I'm a bigger Khabib fan than Dustin.
No, I'm definitely a bigger Dustin fan.
I'm becoming more of an Islam fan than Dustin, but they were like in the same level, and I just
I'm becoming an Islam
just because
fan.
you understand that the fighter is better doesn't mean
Yeah,
you like
doesn't
him
mean that
better.
I'm a favorite. Like you know,
I don't understand. I don't like. Listen,
so
Whitaker versus Izzy are two fighters that I absolutely love, and I wanted Whitaker. I thought Whitaker was going to win the first one, and then the second one, I absolutely wanted him to win, knowing that like Izzy outclassed him.
yeah.
He outclassed him.
I'm glad you brought up Izzy because that's the next kind of crazy talking point is, man, I don't know what it is with fighters recently not being able to commit to a life backstory, right? Like, what is this shifting back and forth? Like, bro, I think it's safe to assume 70% of the audience doesn't actually care about your life backstory, right? They just want to see you fight, right? Like the other 30% that do care,
It depends.
I'll go
It
40,
depends.
60. Let me 70 might be aggressive. I'll
Because
go 40,
even though
60.
people that really don't care can gravitate towards the right story.
Yes, but
But for the most part, you're right. For the most part, you're right. We don't care beforehand.
Izzy doesn't have a story that is a marketable story you could just throw out there. Like, for example, Pereira coming into the UFC gave Izzy a story that you could just sell. Like, you don't have to know anything about either of these guys. The story sells itself. It's interesting.
It's sold both their stories because
Right.
as they're trash talking about each other,
It sells it. Mm-hmm. So Izzy's never really had a backstory like that up until the Pereira point that really sold in that way. We were just sold on the style bender. You're a great fighter and we love to see you fight.
this guy that has 100 kickboxing fights and wants
Right.
to come over here and dominate this world.
It doesn't change the fact that you tried to give us some of your backstory, so it's already out there. So now when you start talking about growing up as impoverished as like an Abdul Razak, it makes it look bad for you. And we don't want you to look bad because again, like Izzy's probably, I wouldn't say one of my favorite fighters. I wouldn't say that, but he's in top favorite fighters to watch.
Yeah.
Like for me, top favorite fighters to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but a favorite fighter as far as like I study him and I follow him and
At some point, I've seen people, well, not at some point, here and there, I see people try to call him a boring fighter, and it's just so crazy to me.
I could see some fights
He's had some boring fights.
Yeah.
You fight a lot, you're gonna, there's gonna be a dud. But
For Pereira, apparently.
you could be bored of the Bruno fight, with the wrestling that was there. You could have been a little bit bored with that.
I think if you're a Pereira fan,
if I remember correctly when I watched it live, I wasn't.
If you're a Pereira fan, I don't think you'd be bored because you'd be.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know Pereira
Right,
at that point.
that's
At that point, he was the guy that knocked out Izzy clean.
Exactly.
I hadn't even watched the first time they fought first, so I thought he beat him twice. And as of today, I think that they were 1-1 in kickboxing. The judges gave it to him. I think it was in Brazil, and people talked about that.
I don't remember.
Doesn't really matter to me that much, but. Point is, I
watched the fight.
I watched the fight, and I felt like Izzy was outpointing him. Alex had few and far between moments. I thought Alex lost, and the second one, Izzy was winning till he was asleep.
He wasn't.
So he was asleep.
Yeah, till he wasn't.
So he was asleep.
And that's been the kind of Pereira kryptonite story for a while to Izzy was that. But that's what I'm saying. So
same thing in the first fight in the UFC. He was winning.
He was kind of losing. Pereira was losing that fight.
Yeah, and he got saved by the bell. He got saved by the bell in the first round. The same combination that knocked him out in the second fight. So it's like they fought 4 or 5 times, and the same hoes are still there, but the story just sells itself.
The story sells itself.
They beat everybody else but each other.
Exactly.
Like.
It sells itself. But Izzy never had that up until that point.
At one point, Izzy had beat everybody else, but he could have
like
beat
the closest to that would have been his trilogy with Whitaker. That would have been the closest, but even that, like the way
There's some people that say Whitaker won that fight. He didn't win that fight. I'm a huge fan, bro.
I'm not one of the people who says he won the fight.
Draw. We could give a draw. We could do that. That's the best.
I hate giving draws, so I
hate it too. I hate it too, but that's the best.
I'd rather just say no, he lost.
There's just no way. There's no way the belt was going to change hands that way.
Right, and that's the thing.
There's just no way.
It's similar to the situation earlier we were talking about before the show with Leon and Barlow, right? Where in that fight, if Robert Whitaker is the champion, I could see an argument where the judges say you have to beat the champion to beat the champion, and Izzy doesn't get the belt and doesn't get the win. But Izzy being the champion, it applies the same way. He didn't do enough to beat the champion.
What he's been talking about, the hunting and the hunter, it's really that simple.
Yeah,
like
that.
Who should be the more urgent fighter?
Right.
The challenger.
The challenger. And if you don't have that in you, if you're not putting that out, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my perspective on that.
I wanted to bring up something too.
We never even got to the whole point of that, which was he's trying to criticize DDP from being privileged.
That was your point. Sorry.
I just wanted to talk about something too. Before you said that, I had literally blanked. That's why I stopped. I was like, I don't even remember where we were going with that. It just got so exciting about Izzy and Pereira again, because that's the power they have. Listen. Forgetting the Izzy DDP fight,
it's the Rock versus Stone Cold all over again for me.
So I'm starting to lean more away from your middleweight claim, right? Remember last week we were talking about the possibility that they're actually going to do like a middleweight fight. I'm sorry. I'm leaning into it. The interim belt and Izzy fighting Pereira. So either way, it works, right? It's either Sean Strickland versus Izzy. Izzy beats Sean Strickland, has to fight Pereira. It just makes the most sense as champions, right? Izzy loses to DDP. Izzy fights Pereira. Makes the most sense for him to change divisions because he's already lost to 2 very dominant guys in the division who have a lot of potential of being the next future. Mm-hmm. It works no matter what. It's just great. Like
it's crazy. As you're leaning in, I'm leaning out from it because Dana came out saying no so demonstratively, and the fact that he also finally said that Sean Strickland is next in line.
Right, and that's what makes it more. But that's what makes it more plausible.
He finally said it, and the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because have you seen what Sean Strickland's been on a side quest?
Before we get to the side quest, real quick, the reason that Dana's saying that made it more believable for me is because he already solidifies Izzy has to exit if he loses.
No, if he loses, I'll lean into that. But
that's what I'm saying.
Getting bigger.
But Dana's already pretty much put that on the table. By saying Strickland is next, he's ultimately saying, Izzy, if you lose, you're out of the division. How you handle leaving the division is up to you.
But he's also ultimately saying if Izzy wins,
he's not
getting a rematch.
Right, DDP's not, but it's less about DDP in this case because DDP still, this will be his first shot and he can still come back for the belt again. And because, as we keep pointing out, the middleweight division is stacked right now. Like, there's so much activity there, you have to keep it cycling. So, as much as I hate the idea of not giving an immediate rematch, I respect it.
It's not, you have no title defense to lean on.
There's nothing to really lean on and to keep the division moving.
You won on decision, you never defended it.
It's that same mentality of like, look, if Izzy wins, we make him solidify himself in the division by beating the only other person who really beat him for a title besides Pereira. If he beats Strickland, he has to fight Pereira, right? And it keeps us very well in line. And he already, Dana already shot down Pereira versus Jones. Completely. That's completely shot down. So the only thing we have potentially is Pereira versus Aspinall. And the wrench in that is Pereira. Pereira says he doesn't want to do it unless it's for the title. So now we're not getting that unless it's unified. So timeline-wise, right? You know, I'm always going to the hypothetical calendar of the fight world, right? Timeline-wise, Izzy Duplessis is this weekend, right? 3 months from that, if we're just saying like you need a 3-month window to put the next fight on, Izzy or whoever that next middleweight fight is January or February, right? Pereira doesn't have a fight available the rest of the year because he can't fight in December, he can't fight in November, right? If that middleweight defense happens, if Izzy wins, we get middleweight defense in January. If Izzy loses, we get Izzy Pereira in January.
I don't think Izzy does it that fast if he goes up. I don't think he does it that fast, especially after
You think 5 months is too fast? We're in August right now.
If he loses.
We're in August.
If he loses.
But we're in August.
I just don't see it.
Okay.
If he gets it done early.
If he loses even February or March, it's not that long of a wait for somebody who's fought 3 times already this year.
I just feel like it's gonna possibly be a very violent fight.
With Duplessis and thing? It might be. But like I said, nonetheless, it's not about Duplessis versus Izzy. It's about the middleweight title.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
I have problems with the setting up the fights before the fight even happens. Especially when anything.
This is how they have to look at it from a business perspective because they have to be able to maneuver.
I think if we're talking skill for skill, Izzy dismantles him. But
Drakus?
Yes.
Nah.
But we're going back talking about how he's visibly emotional. Emotions in fights are really good.
I'll take it. But
he might be overly emotional in this situation to the point where you even believe he's maybe not lying, but exaggerating what he went through.
What he went through growing up. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But for the sake of being actual MMA fans, right? On a technical level, the issue that I'm seeing, and I think other people are seeing as well, is what you keep addressing, right? One of the best parts about Izzy is he's a point fighter. He's really great as a point fighter. Again, it's crazy to keep referencing Barlow and Leon in such a wild way, but Drakus versus Izzy has a high potential of looking exactly like that fight because Drakus is a pressure fighter, and he's a more well-rounded pressure fighter than Strickland. Strickland, as a pressure fighter, applied enough pressure to dismantle the point fighting technicality of Izzy. Drakus being a bigger width-wise guy, because Izzy's a little taller, and being more well-rounded as far as being involving his grappling, involving everything, I think he's going to pressure Izzy in a similar way that Sean Strickland did. And then coupling that with my opinion of his emotional state, I think that's what is painting the bad picture, and that's why I put a bet on Drakus.
Yeah. I mean, that's very possible. Very possible it could happen, but you know, pressure is not. You can't just say, "Oh, Strickland pressured him, and he didn't like it. I'm gonna pressure him."
Well, no, not pressure in the term of like
Whitaker pressured him too.
But it's a different pressure. So when I say pressure, I'm not talking about moving forward. right? There's people move forward, and some people call that pressure.
And also,
I respect
also
that,
a threat of the
right?
takedown.
Or the threats. But when I'm talking about pressure, I'm talking about Barlow, Merab style pressure, Drake style pressure. Like I'm talking about the actual guy. His pressure is moving forward with attacks. He's not just moving forward with threats. He's moving forward, and it might be a sloppy, not very good looking takedown attempt, but he's going for it. And he's going to commit to it. And if he gets it, great. If he doesn't get it, it's not going to do it. And that's what I mean. Like, as far as he's going to be in Izzy's face in a way that doesn't give Izzy the space to be as technical as Izzy is. And that is where I think the problem is.
He can do that. Kudos to him. But
I think that's because one thing as much as we give credit to the Alex Pereira Izzy rivalry, what we're really seeing in that fight is technicality versus power. Because no matter how many times we look at all the different fights, I am of the belief that Alex beat Izzy in the first fight, but not by a big enough margin to argue against anybody who thinks Izzy won. So, like,
the first boxing match.
Their first kickboxing match. Like, I think Izzy was winning the fight in the earlier rounds, and I think the power started getting to him in the later rounds, so I feel like that's what gives Pereira the edge. But I don't feel strongly enough about that to argue with anybody who thinks Izzy won. I'm like, yo, bro, I feel you on that, but the judges gave it to Pereira. That's the whole conversation, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
It was a very close fight.
You know? But it wasn't in my, like, I don't call it a robbery. You know what I'm saying? It was a very, very, very close fight that Alex edged out with his power, and then did it again more definitively in the second fight, and then did it again more definitively in their first MMA fight, and then got out technicaled in their fourth fight.
Right? I don't see it that way because he was losing that fight.
But the power did the same thing it did in all the other fights, is it just comes in and neutralizes all of the technique Izzy had.
So technically you could say that all the fights went the same.
They went the same exact way, except for the last one where Izzy was able to get the technique in just fast enough that it landed perfectly. You know what I mean? And that's all he's been chasing for those 4 fights, was that, because it was there the whole time. He was the better fighter the whole time.
That's literally how Izzy feels, though. Like, you know? I'm always winning the fight, and I just can't get it done.
You can't get it done.
So he got it done. And
he's like, I don't want to try that again.
And then people are going to look at him like, yo, look how he's acting. He won 1 time.
Yes. I've been trying to do this for 4 fights.
How am I supposed to act? How am I supposed to...
Yo, not only have I been trying to do this, not only have I been trying to do this for 4 fights, but that last fight, you remember the last one that we just had where I lost? I almost did it. I almost did the exact thing I did in this final fight, bro.
That.
You can't take it away from me, bro.
Bigger than that. If I'm in the NBA, my first season I go to the finals, I lose. My second season I go to the finals, I lose. My third season I go to the finals and I lose. And then the fourth one I win.
You gotta celebrate it.
You think I'm thinking about those 3?
Those losses? No,
I got it done.
And like
I don't care if it was the same team that beat me.
And like I said,
I am the champion
in the
now.
mentality of a fighter, not only did I finally get it done, but I got it done the exact way that the bell saved you from last time. Yeah, I feel good, bro. I feel real good. Like, you can't take this from me. I feel real good.
His speech after that was A1. Talking about people thinking you can't and you can.
You can.
Like, come on,
like,
bro.
he solved the puzzle that we're struggling with, bro.
Bro, Hollywood could not write a story like, as good as that.
It was great. It was great. So, but I believe that on a technical level, I think Dricus is a more technical, and I don't want anybody to take this in like this like super crazy like judgment place because everybody's gonna dive into his kickboxing accolades and say, how could you think this person is not a technical striker? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, again, 2 professional fighters who come from the same world, one is more technical than the other. That is what I'm saying. And in that space, I believe Dricus as a well-rounded fighter, what we've seen so far, well-rounded mixed martial artist, is more technical than what we've seen from Pereira so far. And the proof is in everyone questioning whether Pereira can be taken down, right? Like, we know Dricus has a ground game. We've seen it. We haven't really seen a ground game from Pereira. So the well-rounded technicality, I think, speaks stronger for Dricus. And with the forward pressure of Strickland, which Pereira also doesn't have, he doesn't move forward. He stays in this weird technical space with Izzy, even though he's not the better technical guy in that space. Dricus has the Strickland move forward part of it. So those things combined, I think, is what gives Izzy a problem. And again, specifically if the opinion piece that he's being too emotional holds true, because emotion always rattles technical skill, that could be a problem.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear, because when I see DDP and I see that pressure and all that, I don't see anything different from what the hype was with Kosa. And you could even say that Izzy changed that guy for life.
Izzy definitely changed Costa for life. Listen, I have no problem saying there are two people.
I struggled saying it because, like, damn, that's crazy.
There are two fighters who Izzy changed their life forever, and there's three fighters that I believe whose lives were changed forever by their loss, right? The three fighters are, I'm gonna start with the one that's not Izzy, and you're gonna love it. Cruz. Losing to John Jones, not Cruz, Reyes, sorry, Reyes. Losing to John Jones changed that man's career forever. I don't know what, I will never try to pinpoint exactly what it was that it did to him because I can't speak for him, but something in him changed in a way that, as you saw, look at how hard we just celebrated him coming back and getting a win. You understand? Like, because he was so on track, he was so winning that fight, it feels like such a close decision that he lost that, I don't know, maybe his ego got to him, and like really believing that he won that fight made it harder to train. Because like I said, I don't even want to try to speculate. You can't get into that.
That was the hardest. That was the hardest.
It's too deep.
That was the hardest.
It's too deep, right?
Because
the next person,
with a Kosa, you could simply say that like he's shell shocked.
Right.
He's not. He doesn't have that.
He feels
that
like
feeling of being unbreakable anymore. When I could just go forward and do whatever I want.
You could, buddy. Please stop. I know I was gone for a while, but please stop. For me, it's like it almost feels like when you give something your complete all and then you fail, and that moment where you sit back and just go, this is never happening. Right? Like,
the best of me is gone.
Right. And to know that you were in a fight that everybody feels was such a close decision, you might have actually won it. Right. I'm on the side that I believe you won it. Right. And I don't know if that's my bias against John Jones in the same way as could be, where it's like at some point I just kind of want to see if it's possible that you lose. Right.
Yeah, this
was the closest fight for that, where it's like, bro, this fight was so crazy that if anybody deserves to be the person who says they beat you, it's him. Right. But then the decline was crazy. The two people for Izzy, you pointed out Costa. The other person who Izzy changed forever, bro, Gastelum. I think Izzy's the person who made Gastelum the fighter who doesn't care anymore. And for him, I will specifically target and say in that way of like, the way Izzy beat him made him sit back and go, I think this is my peak. I don't think I can ever do better than this.
That's what I was going to say. I'm just saying it's very different in the sense that those other guys were on a path of being greatness.
Yeah.
Getting
to greatness, while Gastelum was already at a point
as opposed to Gastelum that had his moment at 20.
Yeah.
Which was being the ultimate fighter, the youngest ultimate fighter ever.
Yep.
And then having a journeyman career to having to go up a weight class because the boss just got tired of you missing weight. Saying, I don't trust you at 170 no more. Hey, you're 185. And in a matchup that nobody believed you had a chance, we saw the greatest Gastelum we ever seen.
Right.
And like you said, he peaked.
He peaked.
And he understood that. He probably understands that I'm never going to be that great again.
That was
Even though my greatness was this short of holding that interim title, it was the greatest I'll ever be. And that's something that he probably accepted. And once you do that as a fighter.
For Gastelum, I'm more committed to that belief because, like you said, he reached some certain milestones that it's like, yo, you actually did some things you can be really proud of. That,
at 20, you reached that.
You know, like there's some stuff that we can't, like no one's trying to knock your career in any way. We're criticizing who you are right now.
Listen,
but
Hall of Fame.
Right, but it's like that's what I feel. So in the same vein for Reyes, like I feel like in Reyes' case, I was getting to the mountaintop. This was like, I was right there. And I missed the ledge and I fell all the way back to the bottom. And I don't think I have it in me to start over.
Yeah, it's easy to speculate that he like not want to go to the gym again.
Right. Like I can't speculate as hard on Reyes because I don't know the emotional state of that.
It's so crazy.
But for Gastelum, it feels a little easier because he had those achievements. You know,
because you know that like
he can measure himself a little better and be like, I did some great things.
Even though we didn't expect either one of those guys to go in there and win the fight, it's different because we didn't expect Gastelum to. We seen a Gastelum we never seen before against a tougher opponent than he ever been in front of.
Yep. So I think if Izzy going into finalize that part of it, if I'm completely wrong about Izzy and he wins this fight, I think I'm completely wrong about Izzy and he dominates this fight in a way where DDP might be the next career he changes. Like that's what I like.
It's
those are
because
that's where I'm at with it
because he has that kind of
energy to
confidence
him right now.
and I don't know. Sometimes that makes me feel like he needs to speak. Like he's not just talking crazy. He's talking crazy like that because he needs that to to show up against his opponent.
Yeah.
Like when you respect your opponent, it could be different.
Easier to get
it could be yes. This is like no, I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
And it's still respect. But see, people can see it differently. But it's the matter of I know I have to kill you.
I think,
if not, you're gonna do it to me.
But I think from the DDP side of it, DDP where he's at trajectory wise, the things he's been able to do, the fact that it was a close fight with Strickland. Again, like I think the way I'm looking at this is DDP wins the fight by either decision or lucky knockout, right? Because again of the emotional state of Izzy, lucky knockout. Lucky is the emphasis of the word lucky, right? And he wins that fight. Or the other possibility, the only two ways I see this happening, Izzy comes in and fucks him up. Like completely dominates this fight to the point where it's like 2 rounds of domination and a TKO in the third. Right? Like that's what I see from Izzy. And I think with that level of domination, to do that to Dricus where he is in his career right now, could derail him the same way we saw Izzy do to Gastelum, the same way we saw Izzy do to Costa.
Like hypothetically, imagine like that happens and then DDP is fighting for the interim belt and gets sparked. Like that.
Or not even fighting for interim belt. Like his next fight, he's fighting to remain his contendership because he already knows like the next person is Strickland. So his next fight, he's trying to remain contendership, and he gets sparked. Or he loses a wild decision to Whitaker. Like there's
even worse. That's even worse. Like get sparked is one thing because like he got caught.
Right.
But to get dominated for a fight and lose a decision?
Those are the two bad scenarios, because the bad scenario, getting sparked psychologically, you start asking, is my chin gone?
No, because I made a mistake. That's the easiest way to justify it for
no, because remember the way that I said Izzy won. Izzy dominated and then TKOs him. That's like, if that happens, to then get sparked, we're not talking about somebody, like, yes, there's a big chance there was a perfectly accurate shot like we just saw when we were rewatching Tough, right? But the likelihood after a TKO of what I'm imagining, like I said, the way I imagine Izzy dominating the fight if he wins, there's no point fighting from Izzy I'm expecting, bro. Like, that's what I'm looking at.
Well, that's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like stylistically, that pressure, it's not something that Izzy would hate.
But I think
he could counterpunch it. But if he does get shell shocked like Sean Strickland,
and this is
injury
where,
or not,
this is where I will again.
The one thing I think DDP did not lie about, if he catches him with that shot, Izzy is not
going to get up.
That.
No, I think Dricus is not matching Pereira power, but he's in that similar space for like that weight class. The power he holds is kind of big.
But I'm just comparing his power to Sean Strickland. He absolutely hits harder than Sean Strickland.
Yes, for sure. And
Sean Strickland almost took Izzy's head off.
For sure. That shit'll be crazy.
It's like from all the crazy things he said, that is not a lie. If he hits him that clean.
But that's what I'm saying. If that's why I said lucky KO from Dricus could happen. That's why
I don't like that lucky thing, but it happens. The lucky thing.
The reason I say lucky is not saying lucky like, oh my God, this guy never had a chance. It's lucky in the perfect opening presented itself in the perfect moment where you could load the perfect shot. Like there's too many perfects in that sentence for that to be anything you could ever actually plan and prepare for.
It's just crazy how we could spin that somebody being knocked out is not as dominant as somebody
getting dominated,
getting beat for 3 rounds.
Because like I said, the question becomes, if you got TKO'd the way I'm imagining as he does, then you come in and get sparked. It's more likely a question of did you take so much damage in that last fight that you are actually weaker now than you were before, right? And the reason that I lean that way for Izzy winning, and I'm completely, like I said, if Izzy goes in as a point fighter, he loses to Dricus. I'm 100% sure.
As a point fighter,
if he comes in as a Izzy who learned from his mistakes against Strickland and says, I'm gonna start as a point fighter and be myself, but if he makes this a dirty fight, I got some shit in the bag to go against that too. And I'm more prepared to go rough against someone. I'm not worried about Pereira power to put myself in that risky position. I think Izzy does things to Dricus that we've never seen Izzy do to anybody.
Listen, it could be. I think it could be a.
But I don't think this fight has any potential of being boring at all.
Yeah.
So that's right. Where are we with this? We've been going for a while.
Time.
Lord. All right. So let's wrap this up quick. The good news is that we already dove into the upcoming fight card. We already gave you the main event. So the rest of the card itself, there's not a lot of stuff I'm excited for. Like Song Kanan is an interesting, exciting fighter in the welterweight division, but he's going against Ricky Glenn. So like I don't really know how interesting this is going to be of a fight. I'm really, again, unfair to Ricky because I don't know much about him, but I'm just assuming Song Kanan's going to win. Jack Jenkins is always fun to watch, but he's fighting Herbert Burns, bro.
Quitter. I hate saying that, but it's true though. He gives off.
He got carried out by his brother. I'm sorry, you get the biggest quitter label possible, bro. It's not even about quitting in the cage. Like you couldn't even carry yourself out, bro. Like that's bad.
Well, it wasn't even. It was. I think the quitting in the cage was bigger too. Oh yeah. You like that one. He likes that one.
I forgot this was a fight that was.
We're gonna see her dance.
Luana Santos versus Casey.
I like Casey O'Neill, but I'm definitely rooting for Santos. Definitely rooting for Santos.
I'm heartbroken. I love both of
them.
Damn,
I meant to look into if she has any friendship with Valerie, who's now going by Lola Vice on WWE because she did her dance.
Oh yeah, you gotta look into that and see. Yes. Yeah, we talked about that. So. That is going to be exciting because we just saw Luana Santos fight a couple weeks ago, and we haven't seen King Casey in a while. So this is going to be the fight to watch. Like, yes, of course, main event, big deal. But Luana Santos versus Casey O'Neill, you don't want to miss this.
No, I really like Luana Santos.
So far, look, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights in, and this is actually the fight I'm excited for.
I mean,
listen, Jack Jenkins is going to be fun.
Besides her being fine, she's a good fighter.
Right, they're great fighters, bro. Like, they are fantastic.
Not going great yet. We got to see her level before I'm going great. But she's, outside of being a good-looking fighter, she's also a good one.
I feel like if they weren't woman fighters, right, and we were looking past how attractive they are, it would be easier to look at the skill set that she's bringing to the table and be able to give her that label. I just, like, And I'm not talking about Luana in this case. I was talking about Casey for a second. But both of them are great fighters, especially when you think about the thing that they specialize in. Like as a grappler, even though she's not ranked yet, there's not a lot of people that I can look at in the ranked space and be like, yeah, they're 100% going to be in a safe position against Luana. Do they guarantee to win the fight? No. But like, are they safe fighting her? Yes. I can't think of many people in the top 15 that can do that.
I'm gonna give you that because
and I feel the same way with Casey.
There's not a lot of deficiencies in her.
And I feel the same way with Casey.
She's one of those fighters that goes in with a game plan and gets it done.
I love this fight, right? I hate that it's happening now. I would have preferred to see it with them both in in a top 5 position because I think it's that good of a fight we're gonna see.
Top 5.
Like waiting for them to get to top 5. Like when they're both up there. See them both get up there and then see them go against each other because I think they're both so good.
I don't know that Casey's gonna ever break into that. She's been around for a while, hasn't she?
Nah, Casey's not been around for long. She just fought a lot in her short time.
Maybe that's it.
Casey O'Neill, I think, is like a 2017 fighter.
Okay.
2017, 2018 fighter. She's pretty new. And that's why I think like this is my what will sound like a wild prediction now, but might be a perfect prediction. This is going to be, we're going to look back on this on the same way that we look at Arman versus Islam. One of them will be champion or contender position, and we'll be saying, should we see that rematch for the belt or for contendership? You shaking your head now, but I'm telling you, they're going to grow to that space, bro. Because they're still both early in their career.
I would love for that to be true. I just don't know.
They are both
it gets
early
tough
in
when,
their career.
It gets tough when the top.
Oh, no, it definitely gets tough.
It gets tough.
Look, 9-2.
No, I get that.
Yeah, so, you know.
Casey O'Neal's coming off a loss.
And Luana's coming off a great win, but they're both really good. So that should be fun. Next up that I think will be interesting, this fight is the funniest, like in a comedic way. The two little brothers fighting each other is hilarious.
Oh,
the two little brothers who are bad at fighting is hilarious.
Is that Johnny Walker's little brother?
Yeah, that's Johnny Walker's actual brother, Walter Walker. They just signed him from LFA. He's a little bit taller than Johnny Walker. He's more of a grappler. He went and focused on the grappling side of things. So he has some of Johnny Walker's striking, but he's more put together as a grappler. And then Junior Tafa, who I don't really know what else to say about him besides he's Justin Tafa's little brother. He's part of the Tafa brothers. Like that whole family is tough fighters.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah, they're tough fighters, but he doesn't have anything he stands out.
Sometimes that question is urgency.
Okay.
Which is not good. It's never good to question urgency.
Never good to question urgency. But I just feel like there's nothing, especially when he has such a lineage of brothers fighting that really he stands out with that makes him good. And so, again, I just think this is going to be really funny
his
fight.
brother cracks.
No, but that's what I mean.
When his brother comes into a fight, you know he's either going to knock somebody out or he's going to get knocked out.
And then their other brother's a grappler. I forgot what league he's in, but he mostly is like a grappler. Like, you know he's going to get a sub 9 times out of 10 if he's fighting. And that's what I mean. Like, when it comes to Junior, he doesn't really have like anything he sticks out with in any way. And then, like you said, he's not really a urgent fighter. So
it's been questioned at times.
But I still think, again, like maybe it's just the history and the UFC.
It's also the name. It's also the name. When you see the name, you have expectations.
Right.
And you're like,
So this is approaching like WWE world.
This is the first time I watched Johnny Walker's brother fight. So if he doesn't go in and get a 10-second knockout,
this will be my third time seeing him.
He's the disappointed brother.
It'll be fun to see Johnny in the corner. But this is like approaching WWE world in a funny way, where it's like the families fighting type thing. So that's fun. Bloodline. Li Jingliang versus Carlos Prates.
My boy gonna have a good suit. He gonna have a good suit.
You know, the walkout is what we're really looking forward. I mean, the press conference is what we're looking forward to on that one. Then, of course, Bam Bam, Jairzinho. I'm not excited for this fight because I don't want to see Bam Bam lose.
You think he's gonna beat Bam Bam? I think this is the perfect fight for Bam Bam.
I think
it's a guy that's not gonna shoot.
I think you're mistaken. I think you might be mixing people up. Jairzinho is not a very big grappler, but he is a decent wrestler. He's very good at taking people to the ground. He's good at, but he's also good in the clinch game with his kickboxing. So I think that there's a possibility he's gonna either sweep or trip.
I can see the sweep, but I don't think he's not a lay and pray.
No. That's what I'm worried about. That's why I'm not excited for the fight. I'm worried if he takes Ty to the ground, it's going to be a TKO. That's what I'm worried about. And with the technique that Jairzinho brings to the table, I see that as a very high possibility.
Bam Bam ain't taking no weak fights.
Of course he's not. And that's why this is. And as you see, like the odd makers are kind of leaning in what I'm saying.
No, yeah. You know? Listen, Bam Bam is never gonna take these fights that you think he probably should take to tune up or whatever after a bunch.
I don't think he should take any tune-ups
after a bunch of losses, but. He's always gonna have work because there's always a boogeyman and he's willing to take it.
Bam Bam is like the good guy version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's just out here fighting and drinking beers with the audience, bro. Like if you think about the storyline they gave Stone Cold Steve Austin, like if someone were to write a good guy storyline, like that would be Bam Bam. Like it'd be the good guy version, bro.
So you're saying he should start studying? He should start beating up the boss?
He should start. No, that's what I'm saying. As a good guy, like
he should go bad guy and just start studying the boss.
Nah. I like good guy Stone Cold. I think it's fun.
You pretend you having a beer with him. No, he was a bad guy when he was good with the boss. He was a face when he was beefing with the boss.
Oh,
See,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
You're confusing it.
No, yeah, when he was the
When
good
he was
guy.
running with Vince, it was
bad,
heel.
yeah,
It was
being the
heel.
heel.
It was when he was being a heel.
And Vince was using him to like just knock down fighters and shit like do evil shit type shit. So I'm thinking of that moment of like that version of Stone Cold, like the bad guy version, being like working.
Because Vince was always the bad guy.
Because Vince was the bad guy, but in this case, like and even that comparison, right? Like Dana versus Vince, like Dana's kind of the good guy. Like for all the things you say bad about Dana,
I think Dana's
by
the bad guy.
comparison, I think Dana's the good guy.
I think Dana's the bad guy.
What?
Yeah. We love Dana, but he's the bad guy. It don't matter. The belief is the UFC don't pay fighters, and he's the face.
But I think story wise, as far as like the way he sets up fights for the fans and for the fighters, like he's not a bad guy to the fighters. Like the Vince storyline as a bad guy, like he was forcing people to fight that didn't want to fight or that weren't ready to fight or taking people's opportunities away from them. The only person who could really feel that way is Barlow. Right, who could feel like he was shunned from an opportunity. But for the most part, even when we talk about the pay complaints, it's not a lot of the fighters that are making those complaints. It's the people advocating for the fighters. And we could say the fighters are being bullied or pressured, but at a certain level too, there's some fighters who actually love it.
As we learned, that's not even him.
Right, and that's not fully him.
It's still not him. That's Hunter. So, if anything, Hunter's the heel, and he's the face.
Dana's the gay guy.
But it's just hard for me to see Dana as a face.
Yeah,
he's too blunt and matter of fact.
Makes him great.
Right, so yeah,
Dan Hooker's coming back to the cage. That should be a fun fight against.
I think that's a trap fight for Gamrot.
You think so?
Yeah, I think Dan Hooker might piece him up.
See, my sneaky suspicion was that.
See, Dan Hooker is almost like Cormier, and he almost did it to Cormier, if you remember. Yeah. Like, in the sense that
my thought was a sub. I thought a sneaky sub from Dan Hooker. Like, I think
I can see that.
I think he has the sub skills where Montañez might overstrike.
I can see that,
and he end up in a bad position.
The thing is,
you think he's gonna piece him up?
It can happen.
Wow.
Dan Hooker's one of those guys that like he's never really out of a fight. But when he is getting outclassed, it looks ugly because
I guess the main card is pretty exciting because we got Kai Kara-France and Steve Erceg. I love both of these guys, but again, it's one of the fights I don't want to see. I think it's too early for Erceg.
But to me, it's one of those old school, new school. Karakov? Oh my God, Kai Kara-France
is from Tough.
Yes, I remember him. He knocked out that really tall guy.
Yeah, yep.
That was playing with him.
Talking crazy.
No, when they did the weigh-ins, you know how they do this? That guy was going like that, keeping him at far with his height, and he just kept going forward, and he just kept doing that. I was like, all right. And he caught him with a big overhand right. And he was most recently he pulled out of the fight with Manuel.
Well, Manel Kopp.
Manel Kopp, there you go.
Because of the injury.
And that's what started that whole beef with Izzy.
Yeah.
Izzy stood up for his teammate.
Yeah. So I just think
who do you favor in this fight?
I am favoring Kai, which is interesting because he's the underdog right now.
I think Steve is probably the safe bet, but I think Kai could catch him.
Yeah, I love Scuba Steve, but it's just something about Kai.
If I have to pick, I'll go with Steve, but I think Kai could catch him.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And then we already talked about the main event itself. Isn't that crazy for Steve Erceg for a second, just thinking about it? Like, my man went from being ranked number 10 to fighting for the belt to fighting ranked number 4 on a co-main.
Well, that's the thing. When you lose,
what a journey.
When you lose by so little against the champion,
but I'm saying, like, his trajectory is so great.
Who's to say he shouldn't be 1 or 2?
Right, that's what I mean. His trajectory's been so great that, again, like,
it's a classic situation where he put himself in a situation where he couldn't lose.
We'll end it on this because we've already gone mad long. Remember, we were having the conversation around one of the flyweights getting cut recently. And you were like, oh, even though he's gotten finishes in his last few fights, it's like, yes, you've gotten finishes, but look how stacked the division is, bro. Mm-hmm. We could pull a number 10 fighter and make him fight the champion and have people question how close that fight was.
Well, what I wouldn't say so much of how stacked it is how young the up-and-comers are and how good they've shown to be.
Right. Like,
so the levels is looked at like, yeah, you're number 4, in this situation, Kai Kara-France, but you've been very inactive. How many people passed you?
Right.
And this is a quick test. This is the guy that was number 10 and just almost won the belt. Now, if you destroy him, nobody's gonna question you.
We good. Yeah,
nobody's gonna question anything.
The balance is restored.
Nobody's gonna question anything. You might be better than you ever been.
Right.
You literally might be better than you ever been.
That's my concern.
But if this guy comes in and subs you early or sparks you,
or even a close decision, like any way that he wins is bad.
Not
for
a close.
Kai.
I think a close decision is good for Kai.
You got to remember because the last fight Kai came off of was against Brandon Moreno when he got the TKO.
Yeah.
So coming into a close decision with somebody who's supposed to be ranked way beneath you is not a good look.
No, but he's not supposed to be ranked way beneath you anymore. He just nearly won the belt.
I know, but it's showing the way that people are surpassing the guys at the top. So that's what I'm saying. No matter how Kai loses, it's a bad look.
No, I think any competitive fight for Kai is still good because I think that highly of Steve, I guess. Okay. I guess that takes
which is cool because I was very high on Steve. Remember when he was against Pantoja, I was like, yo,
and I told you that my only worries with him is how he keeps his head up.
Yeah.
Which is why I think
Kai's going to be able to take advantage of that.
Which is why I think Kai has a chance. I don't think Kai is better than this kid.
Kai's going to take advantage of that.
As much as I like Kai, I don't think he's better than this kid.
That's interesting. And I am a big fan of Scuba Steve, so I'm not taking anything away from it. I hope
I've been a Kai fan.
It's complicated because I hope Kai gets it done because I'm a fan of Kai, but I hope Steve gets it done.
I've been a fan of Kai since that moment in Ultimate Fighter when the guy was messing with the because people, even as a basketball player, people were like, oh because you're tall, and it's like, dude,
have some respect.
I'm tall.
I got skills.
But like you're saying you could beat me in a shooting contest. We could do this, do that, and it's just how it goes. Like. Height doesn't mean everything, and Kai was a perfect example. He's a little guy with a big bark and his punch.
Volkanovski's another great example. But let's wrap the show there. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Main Event Fightcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me at WhatUpVega. You can follow Coach Mike at SFBigMike. And hopefully we see you guys next week, and we find out what the future holds for Pereira. That's really what I'm worried about for this.
He don't fight this week.
This weekend.
He don't fight this week. This guy's trying to book the Izzy versus Pereira fight.
The title fight has implications in 3 divisions. That's where we're gonna end the episode. So it affects 3 different divisions.
I don't think it's third.
I'm gonna tell you after this shit. We'll talk about it next week more. I'll tell you.